The following program, The Lightning Strike, is sponsored by Mohammed Fahim, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Fahim, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks, and welcome to the Lightning Strike. We come here every Sunday morning from 9 to 10 on WCPT 820 AM, Chicago's Progressive Talk radio station. With me in the studios again, Ken DeLuke.
Howdy, folks.
John Arena and Murray Newman.
Good morning.
And, of course, like every Sunday now, we have got so many things to be talking about. Now, if you want to join the conversation, the number to call in is 773-763- WCPT or 773-763-9278. Now, what is happening in our country? Of course, the selection of Mr. Walz for the Vice President of the United States. What it does, how does that impact the election that is about to happen on November 5th? RFK and his fun sidekick, the bear. We're going to be talking about that also. If you haven't heard that story, stay tuned. That is something that is worth hearing. Now, this will be a zeitgeist election, folks. Vibe swing states. We are reclaiming freedom, patriotism, and joy, while the other side is still focused on negative. So, news for CEOs also who do support the devil with no horns. He will turn on you in a minute like Putin did, okay? So be careful. Gaza and Israel, again, Israel is continuing its assault on Gaza. Over 100 people killed. And they claim that it was a targeted strike on people who were there. It was a command post, the same old darn excuse every single time. And we take it and we lap it up. We have got to control what is happening over there. We are losing big time in the rest of in the eyes of the world, folks. Project 2025 also, it's the ethos, taking away freedom as a theme issues. They'll take it away. Freedom, control your bodies, control everything, and enable price gouging in rents, groceries, healthcare, baskets, you name it. Project 25 is designed to kill America as we know it today. On that note, let's get started with Ken DeLuke. What's up, Ken?
Oh, this has been a fun week, hasn't it? I got to share with you a story. Back in the day when Mr. Trump was elected to office, one of my good friends he is, very philanthropic, would give the shirt off his back, one of the nicest guys you ever knew, but he was a diehard Trump supporter. And I asked him, I go, well, you see what this guy does. Doesn't that bother you? He goes, well, I just like the fact that he speaks his mind. Well, now I have something to talk to him, because after seeing that press conference this past, Tuesday or Wednesday? And after seeing him, someone asked him about a birth control pill, and would he stop that, and he wandered off into it's important to have good elections or something. And it's just, he hasn't speaking his mind anymore. He has lost his mind. Okay, you talked about Biden in the debate, and there were some cognitive issues there, but I think Trump is to a point where he's just got a couple of rolling tapes in the back of his head, and he doesn't have any coherency coming out. It's just word salad at this point. So if anything's going to bring this election down, it's not going to be talking the diehards over to thinking in a different way. It's going to be the fact that you don't want somebody who is going to press the nuclear button thinking it's the vending machine at McDonald's.
Okay. Thinking that a Big Mac is going to come right off of the chute over there, right? John, I wanted to focus on what makes you happy. So, folks, when you call in, we want you to start off by saying, regardless of what the Republicans want us to think, that it's all dark and dense and gloomy, and there's a couple of thunderstorms always around the corner. What makes you happy, man? Let's talk about it. So when you call in 773-763-9278, let's start off with saying what makes you happy. So, Marie, what makes you happy?
Well, I have a very opinionated beagle that I find amusing. I mean, when I was leaving, he literally was having a detente with a paper bag. Like, he just amuses me. Like, so I have to say.
Opinionated beagle? Okay. Now, is he a Republican by any chance?
No, he is a Democrat, and he is a tricolor beagle, so I particularly, he's like United Nations. Yeah.
Okay. Well, John, what makes you happy? What made you happy today? Let me put it this way, apart from the fact that you're meeting with us over here.
Well, there's always the show, so, I mean, I look forward to that every week. But I have a small boat, and we do little cruises up the river. So after the show today, we're going to take some friends out on the boat. So
Oh,
just
the
being
Earth
with
Water
friends
show's
and-
going on, too. That
and
should
the
be a
Earth
lot of
Water show's
fun,
going
yeah.
on. So there'll be a lot of
nice.
activity on the water. But just being out, with friends and on the water is always something I point to.
Okay, wonderful, folks. Our person of the week is a lady called as Christy Knobly. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She is with an organization that she started called Perfect Paws Animal Rescue. So this lady spends money from her pocket rescuing animals. And it's something phenomenal to hear her story as to how she got started, what she does, and what a wonderful person she is. And she'll be joining us about 9:45 on the program. We also have a psychiatrist that would be calling in. Dr. Sohail Mohammed would be joining us, and to talk about what drives people to act the way that they do when they know fully well that someone or something is not in our best interest. Why do people still follow the Pied Piper? That is something that we are going to be talking with Dr. Sohail Mohammed at about 9:30, 9:45 in that period of time. Okay, so let's start talking about Tim Walz and his selection as vice president. Murray, good choice, bad choice? What do you
I think amazing choice. Tim Walz really represents everybody, right? And I think that he resonates with everybody and just by being himself. So Nancy Pelosi has a great line, is that know your why and know who you are and just be that when you're a candidate. I believe in that strongly. And I think that's Tim all the way. He just is that way. Like, it's not a show. Because this election is not about policy. Let's all be very, very clear. It is about a vibe, and it's about joy and freedom and the basics. It is not necessarily about any one policy. It kind of never was. Mm-hmm. And that was always my mandate for when Biden was running. It's like, stop talking policy. Actually, no one cares. And while we all know politicos care, we care at this table, and some people care. And it doesn't have anything to do with the intellect, by the way. You just want to be around the peeps that you want to be around. It's as simple as that.
That makes sense. And
Well,
coming in, John, I was listening to a lady called Dr. Najeeba. I'm forgetting her last name, but she was on the show before us, and she was calling in from Minnesota. And she was talking about Governor Walz and his wife and her relationship with them, and what a wonderful couple they are, and how Minnesota has one of the largest Indian American populations in America.
Yes. Yeah.
And one of the largest Somali Muslim populations outside of Mogadishu are in Minnesota, and how the Governor Walz has managed to bring all of the diverse communities together for a slice of Americana.
Very large indigenous as well.
Yes.
So he does
John,
a great job.
you're saying something.
Well, I think, to Maria's point, it's not about policy, because there has never been any policy that I've heard articulated on the other side. And I think the press conference for 90 minutes and never actually say a single thing about any policy, even when Trump has asked direct questions, like about mifepristone, which he clearly is going to come up with the policy. Every policy they have is in formation and will be announced in 2 weeks. And unfortunately, we never get to 2 weeks. So, because we never know. Then he went through 4 years of what was his policy, and it was just a random throwing things on the wall, and most of the things we saw were horrific, like separating children from their parents at the border, things like that. If there is a policy, and again, elections are about the vibe, or about the energy, and clearly there is joy and that kind of energy on our side now with this ticket.
Wait, John, speaking of energy, Trump went to a rally in, I believe it's Georgia, and he had 88,000 people. And in anticipation of that, they also had a football game with South Carolina and Clemson. So, I mean...
So the policy is basically do rallies, I guess.
Don't forget that he had more people than Martin Luther King.
Yes. Because 53,000 is much bigger than 250,000. We now know there is a new map. Maybe this is where the Department of
John,
Anti-education
out of the
will come in.
53,000, 25,000 were allowed to go through the magnetometers, and 25,000 had come prepared to do some funky things. They're not even allowed to come across.
Well, I just want to know who's scheduling these things, because he keeps saying that he gets 50,000 people to show up, but their venue only allows 25,000 in. So I'm just wondering, maybe get a bigger venue?
Yeah.
If those
So
25,000 people are actually
they were turned
there.
away, John.
Yeah,
So
that's
folks-
turning people.
all
I'm
the
sure
time.
that's really
Yeah.
getting the energy on your side.
So here's the thing,
It doesn't
okay?
make any sense.
When you run into, or even if you don't run into, make it a point to go knock on the door of your friendly Republican neighbor and have a chat with him or her, right? Ask them, do you really, really want this guy to represent your values? A lot of Republicans are good people, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of Republicans who are good people. But then you have this maggots, okay, for lack of a better words. Okay.
Be nice. We're in a positive mode.
I know, but hey, a maggot has a useful role in society, sir.
will say.
Please don't discount the role of
no
a
one
maggot.
else will.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, I'll give you that.
He eats stuff that no one else does, right, Marie? Okay. So